Hi Sean, thanks for taking time to talk to me. You just signed for Glenavon. What made you choose Glenavon?
Hi Joel, absolute pleasure. Well, Glenavon's a club with a big history. They've been very successful in winning trophies over the past number of years and Irish Cup successes. Gary Hamilton's a manager that I know very well. I played with Gary when he played for Glentoran and I was there, and certainly one of the best players that I've ever played with. So it's a club that really excites me. A lot of players there that I've played with previously too, and Colin Coates, for example, just moved there just after Christmas and really enjoys it. So it was an easy move for me. Plus, I also work. I'm a school teacher down in Lismore Comprehensive, and it's around the corner from the club. And I'm very aware and familiar of the heritage of the club and the culture of the club around the area. So I'm really excited about.
You've had a brilliant career so far in the Irish League, winning 3 Irish League titles and 3 Irish Cups. Were there other clubs interested in signing you?
Well, I was at Glentoran from I was 15, and I was lucky enough to come through the youth setup there. Roy Coyle, probably the most successful manager of all time in the Irish League, and brought me through. And certainly at times throughout my Glentoran career, I did have opportunities to go to Derry City and so on. And Linfield, interested me. And it wasn't really until I was later, I was 28, 29, where I really did consider moving Glentoran, and I took the move to Linfield, and it was one that I embraced and I enjoyed.
Have you started training with your new squad yet?
We actually haven't, Joe, because of the uncertainty around the whole COVID, and the official Northern Ireland Football League isn't really sure of when we can give a start date. So until we get a start date, we don't want to go back too early. Pre-season, should last a certain period of time, and you don't want to be involved in pre-season. The intensity of pre-season training for some clubs could be back for maybe 10 weeks and not have a game or not know what they're working towards. So for us at Glenavon, we're waiting until we have a start date for the Irish League campaign, and then once we have that, then we'll start training again.
Are you nervous about starting?
No, I'm excited. Especially watching the Irish Cup semi-finals there, and 2 outstanding games. It really gives you the buzz again, and it's times like this, and you experience this lockdown through COVID. You sort of take it for granted how much you miss football and how much it means to you. So I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to getting back in and playing again.
How well do you know Gary Hamilton, both on and off the pitch? Did you play with him at Glentoran?
Well, when I was at Glentoran, I was a young lad at Glentoran, and Gary was obviously at Portadown. And when I talk about my career, my personal career in the Irish League the Irish League football, Gary'd certainly be in the top 3 or 4 players that I've ever played with or against. Superb talent. Gary signed for Glentoran, I think it was around 2006. Paul Miller actually signed him. So I know Gary from a playing perspective. He's a good friend and a wonderful footballer, and he's had magnificent success at Glenavon, and I hope that I can go there and I can add and contribute more success to the club.
Colin Coates just signed for Glenavon in January. Matthew Snoddy was out on loan to Glenavon since January. Who else do you know in your new squad that you've played with before?
Going into the new changing room, it's change, and everybody's a wee bit nervous and apprehensive about change. But I played with like Johnny Tuffy when he was at Linfield. I played with Robert Garrett at Linfield. Sammy Clingham was at Linfield. Obviously Coatsy was at Crusaders, and then you're talking about Colin Burney was a young lad at Glentoran when I was there. He was pushing into the first team just as I left. James Taylor, a goalkeeper, was there. So it's a changing room where yes, I'm going to have a lot of new fresh faces, but it's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Glenavon will have a good mix of experience and young players in their team. What do you think Glenavon could achieve next year?
I'm not going to stand here and say that we're going to win every single trophy that we take part in, but certainly if we have the opportunity to do so, yeah, we will. Gary, a number of years ago, tried something very similar, and where he brought in the likes of Winky Murphy and Davy Rainey, and he'd Owen Brady there and Kevin Braniff, and he had a lot of older players mixed in with the youth of James Singleton and Reece Marshall and so on. So maybe this is something that Gary's going for, where he's trying to bring in more experience, and all I can do is try and make sure that I'm as fit as I can, to make sure that the other players are as fit and as motivated as they can, and if we perform and if everybody plays to their maximum potential and ability, then who knows, let's see what we can achieve this year. But I'm certainly not ruling out success.
When you're playing at Crusaders, you had an unbelievable opportunity to play against Premier League side Wolves at Molyneux and Seaview last summer. How special was that?
Joe, that was winning trophies is here, and then walking out on a packed Molyneux, is up here, and playing against players like Raul Jimenez. I saw that, I follow Wolves now. I saw that Raul Jimenez has just released a new Wolves shirt. Thinking of getting it maybe, but they were magnificent days to play at It's 35,000 at Molyneux, playing against world-class footballers like Raul Jimenez, who's being linked to some of the top clubs in Europe, in the world, and it was just magnificent. And even what made it even better was how well we performed. Over there, they beat us 2-0, but they scored a late goal very late on, and then we took them to Sevilla and we scored early on. And for 30 seconds, Joe, when we went 1-0 up, I actually thought, God, we are going to win the Europa League here. That's how good it felt. But those days, those occasions don't come around too often for us players playing the Irish League, and when they do, you have to enjoy them, and I certainly did.
For every Irish League you've won, it has come down to the last day of the league. Which of those wins has been the most memorable Irish League title?
They're all very special, Joe. 2005 was my first league title, and the game before the final one where we beat Crusaders, we beat Linfield, and that was the day that's known as Morgan Day. It was before you were born, and that was a magnificent day, a full packed house at the Oval, and we managed to score so late on. Last kick of the game, Chris Morgan scored the goal. So then we went to Crusaders, and that was brilliant. But it was because it was probably my first year. You probably took for granted that how difficult it is to win leagues, and then we did it again. We beat Glenavon on the last day of the season at Glentoran, and then obviously when we went to Linfield, we beat Glenavon again. But probably the one at Crusaders where we beat Ballymena was probably the one which had us most on edge, because it was really nip or tuck and you had no idea where it was going. We played Ballymena side that were good. They went 1-0 up. It was so nervy, and then we managed to get 2 goals and pull it back. But those couple of weeks towards the last game of the season at Crusaders was probably the most nervous I've ever been in football. And normally I would say that I handle nerves quite well, but that couple of weeks was probably the most nervous I've ever been in Irish League football.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about the Irish Cup final, if that's okay. The Cup final is taking place tomorrow night at Windsor Park. Who do you think will win?
Oh, it's a tough one, Joe, because both clubs have so much to play for. 2 teams going for European football, but what we just witnessed there, with 2 teams that have had over 4 months off with lockdown and just performed exceptionally well and gave us such a good showcase of football, and it went as long as it possibly could have. So to miss football for so long during lockdown and then to go in the extra time and penalties will certainly take a lot out of the players. So I think it's really down to the players that really have looked after themselves as well as they could, and they were magnificent shape yesterday in the Irish Cup games. So I think those who recover best will definitely have the best opportunity and win the Irish Cup. But it's Friday night, it's an evening game. I don't think there's ever been an Irish Cup final in evening time. But Ballymena will fancy themselves, and Glentoran will fancy themselves. So I just hope that it's another great spectacle, and may the best team win.
500 fans are allowed into Windsor Park to watch the final. How important will that be for both teams?
I think it'll be very important. Glentoran have always brought a really good crowd, and so have Ballymena. I think I've heard this morning that all ticket allocations will go to season ticket holders, which I think is the right way to go. But yeah, it's always good, particularly in the down moments of games, where a team might need a little bit of a lift to hear fans from the side, giving you support and trying to gee you on. So yeah, 500 fans, God, you would love a lot more. I'm sure Glentoran and Ballymena would have brought they got to maybe 10,000 fans at the Irish Cup final. So 500's better than nothing. So well done to those 500 fans. They get the opportunity to sit in Windsor Park and watch the Irish Cup final, and good luck to them all.
You've played in a number of Irish Cup finals. How will the players be feeling tonight, the night before the final?
Oh, they'll be excited. It's a very quick turnaround from the semi-final to the final, which is tomorrow night, and they'll be nervous. They'll be playing out different scenarios in their minds, and trying to visualize how the game might go. Some players as well will be sitting and hoping that they make not just the starting lineup, but also the panel. So a lot of players will be very excited. A lot of players will be very nervous. But these days you've got to enjoy, and people have always said you play the game and you don't play the occasion. But sometimes it's hard to. Irish Cup finals are the day, and particularly if you win it in Irish League football. So yeah, it's a massive game for all sets of players, and yeah, all you can do is give your best and leave it out there on the field.
You've won 3 Irish Cups, but what has been your best one?
I keep saying they're all magnificent, but probably the first one The Irish Cup that we won 2013 when I was at Glentoran, and the reason it was so special was because I won the Irish League in 2005. I was around the periphery of the squad in 2003. And then you sort of think that this success is going to come and happen every single year, and it doesn't. And it took me over 10 years to win the Irish Cup. And when your career sort of goes on a bit, you sort of think, God, I might never have this opportunity, because we lost it actually in 2006 when Linfield actually won the clean sweep. And we played a magnificent Cliftonville side that just won the league and played great football. With some great players, and Liam Boyce and Joe Gormley played, and George McMahon and things like that. And it was a game that we were never fancied to win it. And then to finally get our hands on the trophy, after winning it in extra time. Andy Waterworth scored 2, Jimmy Keller scored 1. So particularly for all that we've been through an awful lot that year at Glentoran. So a very good squad, very strong characters, a great team spirit, and that was probably the others were magnificent, but probably the 2013 Irish Cup final, if I had to choose one, is probably my favourite.
Thanks very much for taking time to answer a few questions, and all the best for next season at Glenavon.
Joe, that was brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you.